But I'll come to you, Stefan. Where would you go? What would your aspirations be to go forward here?
Well, obviously, I'm going back to Cambodia and I'm going to continue doing what we're doing, and then off to Afghanistan and, again, implement the integrated approach to development and conservation. But I'm thinking global. How are we going to empower today's generation, the next generation, to become the future conservationists? What tools are we going to use to reach out to the global community? What venues are we going to use to reach out to the global community? This morning we were discussing with William about using the Olympics, 2012, Healthy Parks, Healthy People. But what tools are we going to use? How are we going to rebrand Healthy Parks, Healthy People to energize this next generation that are absolutely glued to this virtual world? I mean, we talked about adversity. Yeah. Well, the United States of America elected their first African-American president. What tools did President Obama use to reach out to the people? Some people may cringe when we say Google or Twitter or Facebook. But this is the generation that we have to deal with. Yeah. So how are we going to reach out to this target audience? Let's face it, we, the conservationists, we are going to have to adopt new tools, new strategies to reach out to this almost lost generation. And this morning's meeting was inspirational because we can tap into the Olympics with all these athletes inspiring the future generation, inspiring these future conservationists to actively get involved. But we need to understand the tools, the methodologies to reach out to this generation. If President Obama can do it and make change, so can we.
I think there's an obvious reply, yes, we can, out of that one, but to me the passion there is obvious, isn't it? And it just happens to be that in the next few minutes, probably in about 10 minutes' time, I'm going to ask a group of students who are going to talk to us about how they think we can connect and use those tools. And we've got students, Year 10 students here from the Canterbury Girls Secondary School who've been working on just some ideas, so I really look forward to that. But Nick, in good time and full circle, I'm back to you. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's not fair to be last.
Well, it's a good chance to get your thoughts together,
but one very important message that perhaps hasn't been brought forward, and the reality is that Parks Victoria has an advantage. Parks Victoria has the advantage that it manages municipal to the wilderness, and that doesn't replicate it in too many other locations around the world. And I think the challenge or going forward is for all agencies who manage the national park estate to reach out to their municipal brothers and sisters to be able to forge the linkages that will permit this wealth of experiences that we heard at this Congress. So that I think is a first important thing for the park agencies to take on. But in the context of what we learned here for the integration of health and conservation, we need to do the same for economics. We need to do the same for faith-based conservation, tourism. We have to replicate this experience with those elements of society. And I see perhaps the upcoming World Parks Congress, which will be in 4 years' time, as a place perhaps where we can do just that, by bringing all the elements of society together to tell the conservationists why they think protected areas are important to them. And then we in turn can have that dialogue in terms of what we can do to pursue their interests in rather than our own interests. So I see that lesson from this Congress being very useful for us in trying to move into this various integrated elements of society.
I think that's a pretty powerful proposition. Park managers and conservation groups across the globe invariably are trying to tell other sectors about what they should do for us, in a sense. And really what you're saying, in a way, it's an opportunity to invite people to tell us what we could do for them, in a sense, to get those groups in and talk and see what their needs and readily make available to them the ideas and the dovetail opportunities that exist, I think is what in a sense you're suggesting there. So I think that's a pretty powerful light on the hill, in a way. The World Parks Congress is out there, 2014. There's an opportunity with a series of other steps to build some momentum. So with that, I will just draw it to a close, this little part of the session this morning. But I'm sure you'll agree those insights from key people who have helped shape our thinking, bring perspectives, and indeed give us their thoughts about some of the ways forward has helped us collect our own thoughts and be a bit clearer about some of those highlights and some of the directions. And so I'd really ask you to join me in the usual way and thank them very much for the presentation this morning. Thank you.